Imagine it's 2030. You wake up, check your phone, and the cost of your grocery run has gone up again. Your rent, which you locked in 2 years ago, is expiring next month, and the new rate is 40% higher. Your coworker just got laid off, not because the company was struggling, but because an AI system replaced their entire department overnight. And somewhere across town, a 28-year-old who started investing 5 years ago just quietly crossed $250,000 in net worth, without ever earning more than $60,000 a year. Same city, same economy, completely different outcome. The difference wasn't luck, it wasn't a windfall, it was preparation. And the window to prepare? It's right now. But most people won't.
My name is Nico, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, specifically the gaps between what people believe about their financial future and what's actually coming. This channel exists to close that gap, one video at a time. If you're new here and you actually want to understand money in a way that feels real and actionable, hit subscribe right now, because what we're about to cover today could genuinely be the most important financial conversation you have this year. And if you're already part of this community, drop a like. It helps more people find it before it's too late to act.
Here's the thing. Most personal finance content talks about the basics. Spend less, save more, invest early, and all of that is true, but almost nobody is talking about the structural shifts that are rewriting the rules underneath your feet right now. The economy your parents navigated is not the economy you're walking into. The playbook that worked for the last 30 years is being quietly retired, and if you're still following it without knowing what's replacing it, you are going to feel that hard in the next 5 to 10 years. So let's get into it. The first shift is already happening, and it's the one that's going to quietly destroy the most wealth among everyday people. It's the death of job security as a financial strategy. For decades, the standard path looked like this. Get a stable job, show up consistently, earn raises over time, retire with a pension or a decent 401k, and call it done. That model isn't just evolving, it's fracturing. According to McKinsey, up to 375 million workers globally may need to switch occupational categories entirely by 2030 due to automation. Not just learn new skills, completely change what they do. And this isn't a blue-collar-only story. It's hitting middle management, administrative roles, customer service, junior accounting, even entry-level legal work. Whole layers of the income ladder are being compressed.
Now, here's where it gets interesting and a little unsettling. The people who will be most financially devastated by this shift aren't the ones who aren't skilled. They're the ones who built their entire financial identity around a single income stream and never built a second one. I've talked to people who are genuinely great at their jobs, who have done everything right. They climbed the ladder, they stayed loyal, and they have no savings cushion, no side income, no investments working quietly in the background, one disruption away from a crisis. And disruption is no longer a question of if, it's a question of when.
The second shift is something I call the rent trap acceleration. Housing has always been expensive in major metros, but what's coming in the next decade is a bifurcation, a splitting of the population into people who locked in ownership early and people who are permanently renting. And the financial consequences of being on the wrong side of that split are compounding every single year. Here's the math that should shake you. If you're renting for $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year, $240,000 over 10 years. Gone. Zero equity, zero asset. And rents are not staying flat. They're tracking inflation at best, spiking beyond it at worst. Meanwhile, a homeowner with a fixed-rate mortgage is watching their monthly payments stay the same while their property value climbs and their equity builds passively.
Now, I'm not saying rent forever is always the wrong move. Flexibility has real value. But I am saying that people who stay in the rent forever mindset without a deliberate plan are funding someone else's wealth with their monthly income every single month. And the longer it goes, the harder it becomes to break out. This is one of those situations where the financial decision and the psychological trap are the exact same thing. It feels normal because everyone around you is doing it.
Which brings me to the third shift, and honestly the one I think about most. It's the normalization of financial stagnation.
There is an entire generation, maybe two, who have been so thoroughly marketed at, so consistently surrounded by people who spend everything they earn, that broke has started to feel like the default. Let me give you a number. The average American has less than $1,000 in savings. That's not a stereotype. That's a Federal Reserve survey. And in that environment, when everyone around you is one car repair away from a crisis, it stops feeling like a problem to fix and starts feeling like just how it is. This is the psychology piece that nobody talks about. Your financial behavior is not just a math problem, it's an identity problem. If everyone in your social circle is eating out 4 times a week, upgrading their phones every year, and leasing cars they can't quite afford, doing anything different doesn't just feel inconvenient, it feels like you're rejecting the group. And human beings are deeply neurologically wired to avoid social rejection. So the overspending continues, the saving doesn't happen, and every month that passes without action costs you something invisible but enormous: compounding time. Here's what I mean by that. If you're 28 right now and you invest $500 a month starting today at an average 8% return, you'll have just over $1.7 million by 65. Wait until you're 38 to start the same habit? $730,000. That gap, just 10 years of delay, cost you nearly $1 million. Not because you earned less, not because you made bad investments, just because you waited while it felt normal to wait. That is the real cost of financial stagnation. And the market doesn't care about your reasons. So, what do you actually do about all of this? Here's where I want to get practical, because doom and gloom without a plan is just noise. The first thing you need to accept is that one income stream is a liability now. I'm not saying you need to become an entrepreneur overnight, but you do need to start building something, anything that creates income or assets outside your paycheck. That might be a small investment portfolio, it might be a skill you freelance on weekends, it might be a rental property someday. The form doesn't matter as much as the habit of thinking, my paycheck is not my only financial tool. The second thing is to start treating your savings rate like your most important number, not your salary, not your credit score, your savings rate. Because your salary can be taken from you. Your savings rate is a behavior, and behaviors compound. Even going from a 0% savings rate to a 10% savings rate is a complete identity shift. It means you are no longer someone who spends everything, you are someone who builds. That identity is worth protecting. The third thing, and this one is underrated, is to get serious about your financial literacy before the next wave hits. Because here's what's coming in the next 5 to 10 years. More financial products that are designed to look like opportunities but function like traps. Buy now, pay later on everything. Subscriptionify everything. AI personalized spending nudges built by teams of behavioral economists whose only job is to get you to part with money you didn't plan to spend. The system is getting smarter. Your defense has to get smarter with it. I've seen people turn their financial lives around completely in 18 months. Not by earning more, not by getting lucky, but by waking up to the system they were living inside and deciding to play a different game. That decision starts with understanding what's coming, not in a fearful way, in a prepared way. There is a massive difference between being scared of the future and being ready for it. Because here's the honest truth. The next decade is going to be genuinely hard for a lot of people. Inflation, automation, housing costs, the gigification of stable work, these are real forces and they are not going away. But they are not equally hard for everyone. For the person who has no savings, no second income, no investments, it's going to feel like the walls are closing in. For the person who started building 3 years before the pressure hit, it's going to feel like opportunity. Same economic environment, different preparation. You are watching this video right now, which means you are the kind of person who is at least paying attention. And attention is the first step. The second step is action. Even a small one today before the feeling of urgency fades. Open the account you've been putting off. Cut the subscription you forgot you had. Move $100 this week that you won't touch for 10 years. It sounds small because it is small, and it is also the beginning of everything.
If this video gave you even one thing to think differently about, share it with someone who needs it, because the people who are about to get hit the hardest are the ones who never had this conversation. And subscribe if you want to keep building this with me, because we're just getting started.